Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into the White House's latest budget request, which, and let's be honest, you could have guessed this, proposes significant cuts to non-defense programs while boosting defense and border funding. It's a real testament to this administration's priorities that, when faced with so many problems facing this country, they continue to throw money at the military like a drunk gambler at a roulette table. But hey, at least we'll be safe from something. Look, this budget is a dense, jargon-filled document, and frankly, most of us have better things to do than to decipher the finer points of government spending. So, we've done the hard work for you. Here are the top 5 things you need to know. So, let's rip this budget proposal open like it's a Christmas present from your cheap uncle who clearly forgot what you like. Inside, you'll find a whole lot of nothing, and by nothing, I mean funding. This administration is proposing to eliminate or completely zero out funding for dozens of federal programs. And we're not talking about obscure government agencies that you've never heard of. We're talking about programs that directly affect millions of Americans. We're talking about essential programs that help keep families afloat, like the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, which helps low-income families pay their energy bills. Because, struggling to pay for electricity is just so great for the American spirit. And don't even get me started on the Sexual Risk Avoidance Education Program. They want to cut funding for sex education. Have they met teenagers? The only risk we're avoiding is teaching them accurate information. And as if that wasn't enough, they're also coming after the Community Development Block Grant Program, which helps communities fund a wide range of development projects. This, my friends, is what passes for fiscal responsibility these days. This administration loves to talk about fiscal responsibility, but their actions speak louder than their words. And what those actions are screaming at the top of their lungs is that they care more about tanks than they do about teachers. The budget request includes a whopping $163 billion cut to non-defense discretionary spending. That's right, $163 billion, enough to fund the Department of Education for nearly 4 years. Gone, vanished, disappeared like a politician's promise during an election year. And where is all that money going? Well, a big chunk of it is being funneled directly into the military-industrial complex, with defense funding set to increase by about 13%. Because, the best way to solve problems like poverty, healthcare, and climate change is with more guns and bombs. This is basically the government equivalent of trying to put out a fire with gasoline. It's spectacularly stupid, and it's only going to make things worse. You would think that with all this extra money being thrown their way, the Pentagon would be happy, right? Well, you'd be wrong. Because even with this massive increase in defense spending, some Republicans are still grumbling. They're arguing that the budget doesn't provide enough real growth in the military's base budget. It's like giving a kid a giant ice cream sundae and then having them complain that the cherry on top is too small. These people are never satisfied. They're like budgetary black holes, constantly sucking in more and more money, and it's never enough. And the worst part, they're holding the rest of the government hostage to get their way. It's a classic case of my way or the highway, and unfortunately, it's the American people who are going to be stuck paying the price. Now, in a rare moment of what can only be described as fiscal sanity, the budget doesn't propose any changes to Head Start programs. And for those of you who don't know, Head Start is a vital program that provides early childhood education, health, nutrition, and parent involvement services to low-income children and their families. It's a lifeline for millions of kids, and thankfully, it seems like even this administration can't bring themselves to gut it completely. But before we start celebrating, let's not forget that this budget still proposes significant cuts to other education programs. Because apparently, investing in the future of our children is less important than, well, pretty much everything else, according to this administration. It's almost as if they've forgotten that education is the foundation of a strong society. Or maybe they just don't care. Either way, it's a deeply troubling sign of their priorities. And finally, no Trump budget would be complete without a healthy dose of tax cuts. This time around, the budget proposes a $2.4 billion cut to the IRS. Now, you might think that cutting funding to the IRS would make it harder for them to collect taxes, and you'd be right. But that's exactly what this administration wants. They're counting on it. Why? Because it's all part of their long-term plan to starve the government of revenue, so they can justify even deeper cuts to social programs in the future. It's a cynical, short-sighted strategy that will ultimately hurt all of us. But hey, at least the wealthy will get to keep a little bit more of their money, right? And in the twisted logic of this administration, that's all that really matters. So there you have it. Those are the top 5 things you need to know about the White House's latest budget request. It's a document that's long on rhetoric and short on common sense. It's a budget that prioritizes the wealthy and well-connected at the expense of everyone else. And it's a budget that, if enacted, will have devastating consequences for millions of Americans. But don't despair just yet. This is just a proposal, and it still has to go through Congress, where it's sure to face stiff opposition from Democrats. Of course, knowing this administration, that won't stop them from trying to ram it through. So, stay tuned for more updates as we get more details in the coming weeks. Because believe me, this is one story that's far from over.